Hello, you're on Pablo Spot. I'm George. Welcome to episode 3 of this series on Back to Basics on System Tool. And on this episode, I will show you how I install and set up Visual Studio Code on my Windows machine. So if you find these and all other stuff on this channel interesting, hit the subscribe button and join me in the journey of learning by doing. So, let's do this. So I'll start the setup by going to the Visual Studio Code website and download the install. And then from this page, I'll start clicking the download for Windows button to start downloading the installer. Click the save button. The download is complete, so all I have to do is double click this section in here. This will initiate the installation of VS Code onto my machine. Accept the agreement, click next. Installation is complete. Just click finish to launch Visual Studio Code. From this fresh install, I'll head straight to extensions, which is this one. Click that. And then I'll start searching for Dracula. And then the first option that says Dracula Official, I'll click on that. Then click install. Dracula is a very popular VS Code theme, and I like the bright colors and the different textures to parts of my code. But if you wish to explore other themes that might work better for you, there is a website that allows you to sort of window shop for VS Code themes, and I'll put a link on the description below. So once the install is complete, I'll select Dracula from the drop-down list, and then that's done. The next extension that I'm going to install is called Hashicorp Terraform. So it's at the top of the list. Select that and then click install. This is also the official VS Code extension from Hashicorp for Terraform. So that's done. Hashicorp Terraform has been installed. The next extension is called Prettier. This is a very handy extension that helps format my code to something more structured and readable. So now that that's installed, the next VS Code extension that I'd like installed is called bracket pair Colorizer. I'm going to select the version 2, which is the latest version of this extension. Click install. This extension helps me pair up curly braces and brackets on my code. Next one is called vscode-icons. This is more of a visual tool to allow me to identify specific file types based on their extensions. So now that that's installed, I'm going to select vscode-icons to enable the extension. The next one is called TODO Highlights. So I'm going to select the second one on the list and then click install. This extension is useful in annotating parts of my code that I would like highlighted, so I can have visual indicators of areas in the code that I need to revisit. The next extension that I'd like to install is called AWS Toolkit. This extension allows me to leverage on Visual Studio Code to interact with AWS. There are several extensions that you can install on your VS Code, like say, if you're a front-end developer, Live Server might be a good extension as well as like CSSP. Or if you're collaborating with other people, Git-related extensions might be very useful. But I have to warn you though, looking for extensions that you can install on your VS Code could be very distracting. So what I do is I start with very bare minimum extensions that I think would be very useful for me straight away, and only start searching for other extensions if I feel like I'm doing something very repetitive or very unproductive. Or say if someone tells me about a very cool extension, or I read it somewhere else, I would go and check that extension and see if it's something that's useful for me. Also, be mindful of the amount of extensions that you have installed and enabled on your VS Code, because they could cause performance issues and they also occupy space on your system. And sometimes they also cause issues on your machine that you may not be aware of. And so keep your extensions only to a handful and a manageable set, and install only those that you use a lot. There is a small list in here that provides a number of commonly used keys that you can actually train your muscle memory with. And this is a good segue for me for the next component that I'd like to show you, which is the terminal in VS Code. So to launch terminal window in VS Code, I'll select terminal from the menu, and then select new terminal. Or the other way to do this using your keyboard is Control-Shift-Backtick as described in it. So let me select that. So my terminal opens up as a PowerShell terminal by default. And I want to change this. To do this, I'll close this terminal. And then I wanted to check what the shortcut key is to launch the all commands section, which is Control-Shift-P. And then from here, I'll start typing terminal. And then from the drop-down list, I'll select Ubuntu-2004 WSL. Now let me launch my terminal again. So my updated terminal opens up using a Unix shell, which is what I want. But what I'm seeing here are a set of strange and odd icons and characters. And this is happening because my VS Code does not recognize the set of characters on my terminal. If you remember, I had this same problem when I was setting up my Hyper.js to display the proper icons on my terminal. And what I did to fix this is to update the font settings on my Hyper.js to recognize the font family that my Power Level 10K theme references, which is Meslo LGS NF. And so to fix this with VS Code, I'll go to Preferences. So that's in File, Preferences, and then Open Settings. And then in here, I'll start typing Terminal Integrated Font Family. And then on this field, I'll start filling this up with Meslo LGS NF. And you'll notice that straight away the icons on my terminal got updated and refreshed and re-rendered. So now on my terminal, I'd like to see if all the icons are rendered properly. So I'll navigate to a directory that points to a GitHub repository, which is located here. And yes, the GitHub icon is showing, and information about the GitHub branch that I'm on currently is displayed properly. That's it. If you're an existing VS Code user, drop me some comments and let me know which cool and useful extensions you know of. Or any general comments are most welcome. And if you could, subscribe and help me spread out the word about this channel. Until next time, see ya.